Hello joyful ones, Joan Craig with Choose Joyful Health here, and in this video I'm going to cover some safety tips of how to get results with exercise even if you've got some injuries and aches and pains. Now we all know exercise is good for us. It's common knowledge. It's good for our bodies, our minds, elevates our mood. It's important for maintaining our muscle mass and bone density as we age. And in general, we know it's good for our overall health. So if you're watching this video, you're already on board with that. But the challenge is, as we age, some of the imbalances in our bodies or some injuries that we've had really can hold us back from exercising at the intensity level that we want to do or that we know we need to do to get the results. So that's what this video is about. I'm going to go over some guidelines specifically for osteoporosis, sciatica, compressed nerves including stenosis, and spinal fusions. I'm going to save scoliosis for a different video because it's a really separate topic. All right. I'm Joan Craig. I'm a yoga therapist and a functional movement coach, and I help mature men and women get moving and keep moving well so that they can do what they love. And one of my specialties is working with people that have a specific goal and also with people who have some specific challenges. So let's get right into it. I want to first talk about the way you approach exercise and the order that you approach things. So I'm offering a free training. It's called Base Training for Boomers, and that stands for balance, alignment, strength, and energy. And if you want to sign up for that, it's happening May 5th through May 15th. Just sign up at choosejoyfulhealth.com. There's no strings attached, just a free training to help people get moving while they're at home. So I call it base training because it sounds good. But when I work with my clients one-on-one, we don't do it in that order. We always do the A first for alignment. And that is one of the key safety guidelines. We need to learn about our bodies and align them so that we can relieve pain, reduce tension in the muscles, reduce wear and tear on the joints, and then we can increase the intensity with walking and hiking and lifting weights and things like that. But if we're hurting or we're not aligned, then it's going to create problems down the road if we add muscle to a body that is not in its best form that it can be. And I don't pretend that we can make anybody perfect. All of us, every single person I know, and I have done, well, I really couldn't count, but I think I've done many hundreds of posture evaluations over the years. I have not yet met anyone who is symmetrical. Everybody I know has a little something different, front to back, side to side, right hip to left hip. We all have a little something different going on our shoulders and our necks, and so those are the kinds of things that alignment can help reduce the uneven tension in the muscles so that we can exercise safely. So when you find this video, please say hi, let me know you're here, and let me know if you have any specific questions. I'm going to now go into osteoporosis. So the biggest thing with osteoporosis and exercise, well, there's a couple. And actually I have a whole online course called Balance Bones about this, but I'm going to give you the super short version today. You've got to exercise. We know it's good for us. We've got to do weight-bearing impact exercise. Walking is the best example. It's weight-bearing and it has the impact every time the foot hits the ground. But there's a couple things with osteoporosis that you want to make sure you do not do. So I'm going to show you those now. I'm going to try to stand up and still be on the camera. Yeah, hopefully you can still see me. The main thing you want to keep in mind when you have osteoporosis is not to hunch. So when we're specifically talking about exercising, participating in a group exercise program or even one-on-one exercise program for osteoporosis, we want to do things that strengthen the back. These are called back extensors that pull the shoulders back and keep the neutral curve in the spine, that lumbar curve. So I'm going to adjust the camera so I can show you a little better. There's a really important technique, and it's called the hip hinge. So you imagine this is where your leg bone goes into your pelvis. It's actually not up here on the top of your pelvis where you think your hips are. Your hips are actually down here. This is where the femur bone comes in. So this is the pivot point for bending. So you do what's called the hip hinge, keeping your back straight and long on the front. So when we do bending exercises, you would bend from the hips to lift things up. So that's number one for osteoporosis. No hunching, always do the hip hinge. And then, of course, it depends how your osteoporosis is with the degree, right? Negative 2.5 T-score is considered osteoporosis in the spine. So for someone like that, I would definitely encourage a hip hinge. The other thing to keep in mind with osteoporosis is twisting. And a standing twist, when the hips have the ability to twist with the spine, is in general going to be safer. It's going to be okay. It's not that we can't quit twisting, so we have to live our lives. What's discouraged with osteoporosis is compressed twisting. So in a yoga pose, sitting on the floor with your back rounded and twisting could cause some problems. So those are the osteoporosis guidelines for safe exercise. And again, I have a whole course with 5 modules on that, but I'm just giving you the basics here as we launch into base training so you have that safety guideline. Let me know if you have questions. Moving on to sciatica and compressed nerves in general. I've worked with people for 16 years in different levels of fitness and different issues going on. And often when I meet people who have a sciatica, so that's that nerve pain down the leg, or a compressed nerve down their arms, they often think they need to stretch it. And we do have this idea that when we have an injury, we need to stretch it. And there's some wisdom in that we need to stretch something, but we don't necessarily need to stretch that exact place. If you're doing an exercise, now if you have sciatica 24/7, you don't need to be in a group exercise program. You need to be working one-on-one with physical therapist or something to that effect. But if it just comes and goes, and in your exercise class and you have that pinch feeling, the burning feeling, the numbness, the tingling, it is a sign to stop, back off, adjust the range of motion, back off on the intensity so that you do not have that burning or that numb or tingling sensation. So whether it's down your arms or down your legs, that's the guideline that I use for working with people. Now, I meant to say this at the beginning of the video. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not giving medical advice. You have to work with what your doctor and your physical therapist and your people on your medical team guide you to do. So always, always go with that. But in general, these are guidelines for group exercise or yoga class, things like that. Or even working one-on-one with someone like me, personal trainer, yoga therapist, and I do have a credential in exercise is medicine, which is through the American College of Sports Medicine to work with people with certain health conditions. But even within that, my guideline is if you have that increased nerve sensation, it's time to back off. I want to briefly talk about stenosis. So many people get stenosis in the neck or in the lumbar, and that is a narrowing of the canal that the spinal cord goes through. There is not a whole lot you can do to stretch that out because the bone has formed there. There are certain positions that I do when I work with people one-on-one to help especially with stenosis in the lower spine, to create some width across the pelvis and also to decompress the spine vertically. But I just want to put that out there. So again, same with sciatica or nerve compression. If you have increased symptoms, it's time to back off, change the exercises. Want to talk about fusions. People sometimes come into exercise programs to have spinal fusions. Here's what you need to know about fusions. Let's pretend these are the vertebra and they are stuck together. Well, when something's fused, they can't really separate from each other, right? They're stuck. So what happens is the vertebra that's above, that joint's going to move a little more, and the one that's below is going to move a little more. So when you have a spinal fusion, and I work with people who have scoliosis and they have some rods in their back, or they've had the lower vertebra fused to help with the curve, we have to just approach things very gently, and you don't push. You go to where your body goes in any given position, and you recognize that there's a resistance there, and you pause and wait and breathe. You don't push through that, because we can't risk making the joint above the fusion or below the fusion too flexible. So I know this is a ton of information. So far we've covered osteoporosis, sciatica, compressed nerves, stenosis, and fused spines. I'm saving scoliosis for another time because it's a specific video, but I just wanted to give those exercise guidelines. And in the base training for boomers, it is a group program, it's a free program, it's online. So you've really got to use your inner wisdom on the safety guidelines. And I encourage everyone who participates to just ease into things. Take things slow and ease in. If I'm working with you one-on-one, I can guide you more specifically. So if you have any specific questions for you, leave a comment, make a question, let me know. If you're already in the program, then you have my email. You can send me a note. So if you're not in base training for boomers, it's starting May 5th. You can sign up for free at choosejoyfulhealth.com. I'll put the link in this video. And I welcome you to join. And the purpose is to get balanced, get aligned, get strong, and get energized even while you are at home under quarantine. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. And I think that's it for today. So stay tuned. I'll see you soon.